I got invited to a competition in Northern Ireland, which was run by Sport NI, and it was for people with disabilities. And my dad learned about it because when you're born with a disability, you're made part of this group called REACH. And REACH is for people with upper limb differences. And they release a newsletter every month. And in the newsletter was the story about this girl who's a Paralympian. And her mom was the team manager of the Paralympic swim team. So she just was talking all about her daughter. And she had the same arm as me. And she was inviting people up north to this swimming competition. So my dad asked me if I wanted to go. And I was like, sure, yeah, whatever, I'll go. And I loved it. I loved the competing. I loved the racing. I loved the control. And when I was doing it, I never noticed my disability. And it was kind of the first time that I'd been in an environment with loads of people with different disabilities. And I just felt like I belonged. And then from there, my dad asked, is this something you wanted to do? And I said yes. So from there, I joined a local swimming club. I was swimming in Westwood in Clontarf. I stayed there for many years. And then I represented Ireland for the first time when I was about 9 years old. And that was at a competition in Sheffield. It was a junior competition. And I won 4 silver medals. So that really kind of kept the bug.
That's not bad, really, is
kept it going, yeah, kept it going. And then the following year, I won 2 bronze medals and I was devastated. But I had the bug, and then there were whispers about Beijing, and we didn't know whether or not I was going to get the time, because I think I was 12 when I was very, very close to the time. And then I ended up getting the qualifying time for Beijing in the December of 2007. So I was 12 when that happened. And then the following year was the Games. So I went to my first Games when I was 13. I hadn't been to a European Championships or a World Championships at that stage. It was my first major international.
Well, that's where we're going to go next, because it's a huge achievement for any athlete to reach the Olympics or Paralympics. To do it at 13, you're one of a very small elite group. What does that do to the mind of a 13-year-old? And did you realise that you were on the world stage?
I didn't really realise what was going on at the time. For me, it was just an exciting competition. And I had so much talent as a kid. And when you're a kid with so much talent, you kind of get so many wins so early on, and you just keep getting better and better. And your times, you never have a bad race. So that was kind of part of how I ended up going to Beijing. And when I was in Beijing, I was treated like an adult. The only difference between me and the other athletes was that I had a chaperone. So I wasn't allowed to go anywhere on my own. I just had this lovely lady following me around. And anything I wanted to do, I just had to ask for permission. But I was treated like an adult. I was expected to behave like an adult. I had to train the same as everyone else. I had to show up to all these meetings the same as everyone else. I remember my 13th birthday was at a camp just before the Games. And it was like a pre-Beijing camp with multi-sport. And whoever was talking at the time was talking about how quickly time was going by, and how fast Beijing was going to get there, and like time was going by so quickly that Ellen's even a teenager now. So I had my 13th birthday at a multi-sport camp for Beijing, and they all sang happy birthday to me, which is bizarre. Like, and now that I'm older and I went to my 5th Games at 29, I'm just like, what was a 13-year-old doing at the Games? Yeah. And I don't know, I if I could change anything about my career, I would like to have not gone to Beijing, because I think it just set me up for unrealistic expectations. I think everyone always whispered about my talent that I had and what I was capable of doing and the potential that I had. But like, I went to Beijing off pure talent. Then I came home and expected everything to be the same. But everything had changed.
Did that become a burden then, that potential?
Yeah, 100%. Because I went from the highest stage in the world with, I think it was 18,000 people in the stadium, and all this fuss and all this excitement. And it was like Disneyland for athletes. And then I come home and I have to go to secondary school. I go into second year of secondary school. I've missed like the first 2 weeks of secondary school. And then my next competition is like a local club gala. So I went from the highest highs to like the most basic level of an athlete. And and my motivation just completely plummeted because I knew how to get adrenaline from the big things, but from the little things, my motivation was just completely not there. And then I became, I guess, a bit entitled because, again, I got there off pure talent. So I just expected not having to work as hard as everyone else and not knowing what hard work was. I didn't know how to work hard. And I had coaches who would get frustrated because I couldn't do certain things and because I wasn't hitting the milestones that they had set out for me. And no one had taught me how to be an elite athlete. I was just expected to be an elite athlete. So there was a lot of learnings that I had to do and a lot of mistakes I had to make between Beijing and London.